Hi guys. So I'm kind of emotional right now. I felt led to do this video. I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna say. Um, I asked God to lead me and hopefully the words come out right and that they're His words, not mine. Um, Earlier today on Facebook, I posted a question asking if anybody else struggles with this issue. And this issue is that I get into TV shows. I'm a huge nerd. I love TV shows that are really good. And I have this problem where I get into a storyline. I love the characters. I love the dynamics. I love the ideas behind it and where they're going with it. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, there's this gay character. Sometimes, most of the time it doesn't really fit with the story. It's just put in there. You can kind of see that it doesn't really have anything to do with the storyline, and it's just put in there just to check off that agenda. And that agenda of representation for everybody, which isn't a bad thing. But for me, as a Christian straight woman who is married, I feel uncomfortable watching a show and seeing a woman interested in another woman or a man interested in another man, whether they handhold, whether they cuddle, whether they kiss, whether there's an intense making out scene, whether they're just talking about their relationship problems or whatever the case is. It makes me physically uncomfortable. I don't like sitting there and watching that stuff. And the thing that bugs me the most is that I can't name a single TV show that I like that's been recent that doesn't have it in there. If I think of every single TV show, it's included somewhere. The only TV shows that don't are the older ones that I used to watch before this whole thing went down. And that's really sad and it breaks my heart. And I just posted Facebook about it because I wanted to see if anybody else is struggling with this. This is a huge struggle for me, and it's something that really does upset me and bother me. And sometimes when you're going through stuff, it's nice to know that there are other people out there that go through it or that struggle with it too. And so I posted this on Facebook. I knew I would probably get a lot of bad comments, and surprisingly I actually got a lot of support, which meant a lot to me. There are a lot of other Christians who are struggling with the same thing, where they love a show and then gay characters introduced and it just kind of ruins the experience for us. And in no way is this hating on gays. In no way is this insulting them as people. Um, you know, I don't have very many friends at all. I talk to people online, so I don't have any friends, period, really, let alone have any homosexual friends. I've interacted with them, obviously, back when I was in high school. It wasn't very, there weren't a lot of people in my area like that. But if I had the chance to, I would talk to them and I would be friends with them. Um, I love talking to people. I love getting to know people. I'm a writer, so I love getting all kinds of perspectives on things. And um, so, in no way is this hating on people. Um, just because somebody does something that is a sin does not mean that they're a bad person. It doesn't mean that I don't like them as a person. We are all sin. We are all sinful people. I mean, and we are all bad in nature. None of us are good people. That's the point of Jesus. That's the point of the cross. That is the whole point of what I believe, is that we're all bad people, but Jesus, because of his death on the cross, because of his resurrection, because God came to earth as man in Jesus, died on the cross, rose again. If we believe in him, if we repent of our sins, that he will save us. We can go to heaven when we die. We can be with him forever. He makes us perfect in Jesus, only through Jesus, though. And so I'm a bad person. I do bad things. And everybody out here in the world has bad things that they do. Um, I just don't believe in glorifying those bad things because they're bad. I have a big cussing problem. When I get angry, my mouth is terrible. I'm not proud about it and I hate it, and I don't like glorifying that. And likewise, I don't like hearing it on TV. It's a huge struggle for me, and I hate when TV shows or movies insert it in there. I don't like when books do it. As a writer, I don't include cuss words. If you have to, say he or she cursed. It's the same thing. The words themselves don't add anything to the movie. It doesn't add anything to the sentence, and it doesn't do any good. Um, uh, I have a problem with my mouth, and so I have been working very hard, and I have been working for a long time to try to overcome this problem that I have. And with a lot of prayer and God's help, maybe one day I can get angry without actually saying a cuss word. We hope so. We all have things that we struggle with. That doesn't mean that, somebody's gonna hate me for that. If you do, I'm sorry. Um, so to say that I don't like watching it on TV does not mean that I hate the people doing it. I hate sex scenes. I hate sex scenes. I'm a married woman. I'm not going to go up to somebody's window and watch somebody have sex. So why would I do that on a TV show? It's not necessary. There are ways of implying relationship stuff that takes place in movies for the dramaticness of it, and the sex scenes are completely unnecessary. But it's in everything. You can't hardly find anything without a sex scene in it these days, and it drives me crazy. I hate that. But that doesn't mean I hate the actors portraying those. I may disagree with their actions. I disagree that they're doing that with somebody for a show. I disagree that they're okay showing off their body like that in shows just to get paid for it. I disagree with that, but I don't hate the actors. I don't hate what they're doing. So that same principle applies. I don't hate gay people just because I don't like it shown on screen in front of me. I don't want to see that. It makes me uncomfortable. I'm sorry. That doesn't mean I hate you as a person if you are gay, if you're homosexual, if you're lesbian, if you're part of the LGBTQ community. I don't hate you. In fact, I love all people. I try to love all people. That is what God called us to do, is to love all people, but we are also called to bring them to Christ. And yes, I know hating on people and being mean to them and being rude to them is going to do the opposite. And shoving your beliefs down somebody's throats is going to do the opposite too. I understand that. And I understand that there's a lot of stereotypes about Christians that we shove it down their throats, that we're hypocritical, that we're haters. If we say what we believe about homosexualities, we get called bigots, we get called haters, we get called all kinds of names under the sun. And this happens a lot. And it makes me sad to see that here you have people, whether they're part of the LGBTQ community or not, they defend that community by hating on Christians and saying, oh, if you say this, you're a hater, you're a homophobic, you're this, you're that. And I've had a lot of comments over the years of people calling me names and just going at me because of my beliefs of homosexuality. This is not the first time this has come up, but I've always stood by my beliefs. And I know that I'm doing the right thing and I'm sticking by my beliefs. And yet I have been hated on, I guess, if you want to call it that, for lack of a better term. I've been hated on by people defending the LGBTQ community. And I'm not saying it's from those people. I'm just saying that people defending them, oh, you can't say that, you're a homophobe, blah, blah, blah. I've had a lot of people insult me because of my beliefs. There have been a couple of incidences. On Wattpad.com, I used to do writing competitions called Authors Games, and writers would submit their stories to me, and I would, critique them and stuff like that, and it was a fantastic community. But the actual Authors Games community, as it was called, what supported the LGBTQ community, which I understood. It wasn't open about that, so I didn't understand that. So when I started making my competitions, I put in a couple of rules. You can't have graphic violence, you can't have cussing, you can't have sex scenes, your content has to be PG-13, you cannot have any homosexual content in there. And I made that a very clear rule. These are my guidelines, these are the stories, I don't want your stories having any of that stuff in there. That's how I believe. Everybody has their guidelines. And I got so much hate for it. I was banned from the Authors Game community. I was not allowed. They actually boycotted my competitions because of it. And my competition suffered for it for a long time. But I had a good group of Christian people who believed like I did, who decided to join my competitions. And there was about 6 or 7 writers who were Christians who stuck with me through every competition I did, because they supported me and they appreciated that I, stood by my beliefs. But the community itself banned me from it. They boycotted mine, and they actually told everybody, so that no one from that community, when I would send messages asking if they wanted to join the competition and telling people about it, they would just shoot me down, and a lot of them would just straight up ignore me because of it. That was instance number one where I got persecuted, if you want to call it that, for my beliefs on this matter. Another incident was my writing group on Facebook, where I post a bunch of writing prompts and things like that. I did a short writing prompt contest on there, and I made it clear that I didn't want homosexual content in the writing. I had, the same guidelines: no graphic violence, no sex scenes, no homosexual content, keep it PG-13. That's pretty much my consistent rules with all of this stuff. So this one man was obviously very angry that I did that. So he sent me some very terrible messages. He pretty much insulted me terribly, and he blocked me. He got out of my group. He started messaging people. He mass messaged my group, calling me terrible names, calling me homophobic, saying that I was a terrible person. He mass messaged people in my writing group. He also posted posts in my writing group. Then he started posting on other writing groups about me. So much so, because I didn't know this was going on behind the scenes, because I wasn't paying very much attention other than the messages he had sent me personally. And somebody was kind enough. They saw his post in one of their writing groups and told me about it and said, hey, this guy's trashing you on all kinds of groups and everything. And I got a lot of messages from people. Some of them were people who couldn't believe how homophobic I was. Other people warned me about him and just wanted to make sure I was okay. One guy finally got back to me. He actually messaged me and said, hey, we banned him from our group. We don't agree with what he was doing, regardless of what went on, elsewhere and everything. And he said we, banned him. And the result was that this guy who had bashed me and trashed me had been banned from all of these groups that he was spamming about me and trashing me. That was instance number two. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, I posted Facebook asking them if anybody else struggles with seeing too much homosexual content in movies and shows. TV shows, I can't find a single show without an LGBTQ character representative, if you want to call it that, in there. And it makes me uncomfortable to watch, and I want to enjoy the show, but I'm forced to either stop watching it or overlook it, which makes me even more uncomfortable. And I got a lot of positive comments, but there was one person who basically called me a bigot and some other stuff, cussed at me and said, you can kiss my bad word goodbye, and left it at that. Then they sent me a couple messages stating how they felt very bluntly, and they blocked me, so I couldn't reply to their comment or to their messages to me. Thankfully, I have some friends who were kind enough to respond that they didn't need to be that rude, and that we, by saying that makes you a bigot, and we all just need to be able to state how we feel. And so my point with this is that I am very hurt that I can't have a different opinion than you, that you can't have a different opinion than me, that we all cannot simply just have a different opinion anymore. Our rights are being taken away, where we're in our country that is supposed to have freedom of speech, and yet I can't say how I feel, or I can't say what I believe, and I can't say my opinions without getting hate for it. Even though what I say, my opinions are not hateful in and of itself, I am very careful not to say, gays are terrible people, or I hate you all. That's not true. I don't hate you all, and you're not terrible people. We're all bad people, for one, but that's a whole nother issue. I try to love everybody. I try to be kind to everybody, and I would talk to anybody who would message me. I love chatting with people, honestly. So I love, as a writer itself too, I love getting to know people. It's a desire inside me, honestly. And so, but we're just not mature adults anymore. We can all act mature, because I can disagree with you and all of you can disagree with me, and that's okay. And we can still talk and we can still be friends. You can be friends with somebody and be cordial with them, be respectful toward them, and still disagree with their beliefs. Just because they don't agree with you and you don't agree with them does not mean that you have to hate on them. But if you say, oh, you can't say that, you're gonna hate, that's hate on somebody, you're hating somebody else. You're hating me for my beliefs just because I don't agree with homosexuality. That's not fair. You can't say that I'm hating on you for whatever reason. if I'm just stating my beliefs in love, as long as I do it kindly and not rude. I do agree there are a lot of rude people out there. That's kind of the underlying issue, is that a lot of people do get rude. That's not okay for me to do. It's not okay for me to be rude about what I believe either. But if I say it in kindness, if I say it with respect, if I'm just sharing my beliefs with you or stating it online for whatever reason, then it's just as bad for somebody else to call me names, to hate on me, to just be so mean to me and to be rude to me just because I stated my beliefs. This is a free country. Last I checked, I'm starting to question that the more that this stuff happens, honestly, but it's still a free country. I'm allowed to share my beliefs, you're allowed to share yours, and I welcome you to share your beliefs. I actually love getting to know people. So we're allowed to share our beliefs. We can still be friends even though we disagree with one another. That's fine. That is okay. I have no problem befriending people and chatting with people so long as it's cordial, respectful, and I'm not being mean to you, you're not being mean to me, and all that stuff. We need to respect each other. Respect means that, we need to, when I state my beliefs, you don't have to hate on me for it. And honestly, it feels to me like a lot more Christians nowadays are getting hate for what they believe, more so than the claims that Christians are hating on homosexuality and all that stuff. I'm not denying that it happens. There are probably a lot of Christians out there that do hate on homosexuality and that handle it the wrong way or whatever. But there are a lot of people who defend the LGBTQ community who hate on Christians. And it's hard for Christians nowadays to state what we believe. And there's a lot of fear. A lot of Christians today are afraid to say what they believe because they're afraid of offending people. Literally, my beliefs will offend you. So, people get so offended these days, but you don't have to get offended just because I disagree with you. And in terms of the homosexuality thing, just because I disagree with a person's lifestyle does not mean I hate them. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to be mean to them or disrespect them or anything. I don't do that. I disagree with adultery. You're supposed to be loyal. Straight couples, you are supposed to be loyal to your partner, to your husband, your wife, whoever. I disagree with adultery. So if I knew somebody who was living in adultery, I would disagree with their lifestyle, but I do not hate them. You can hate what somebody does or dislike what they do, but that doesn't mean you hate the person. A lot of times what we do as sinners is the result of an inner pain. I cuss when I get angry. I have a bad temper. So did my dad. It happens. It's just, there's a lot of inner pain that results. That's why we do the things that we do a lot of times. And I believe that we should talk to people. We should try to help them through their problems. We should lead them to God and let God do the work. And talk to them and befriend them and help them through their problems. He will do the changing in your heart. But we as Christians have to take a stand and we have to share our beliefs with the world, because if we don't, then we're just letting the world consume us. We're supposed to be in the world, but not of the world. We are supposed to share our beliefs, but we need to do it in love. And that's what I've been doing. And I'm the one being attacked. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. And I'm sorry for anybody in the LGBTQ community who has been attacked by anyone who has hated on you. I'm sorry. If you have spent your life living in fear of who you are, if you have spent your life upset and hurt and feeling so much pain that nobody can understand what you're going through, and if you feel alone, I'm speaking to everybody here. Anybody who feels alone, you're not alone. God is here for you and He loves you. He loves you and He made you who you are, and He has a very special plan and a purpose for your life. And He loves you. He wants you to come to Him. And when we come to Him with all of our sin and all of our pain and all of our guilt, all of our shame, everything that we've ever felt, He takes it from us. And as we repent, as we turn to Him, His love just washes over us more and more. And then you can build a deeper relationship with Him and start growing as a person, as a character. It's so important for people to know that. And I hope that I'm sharing this message with you. I hope that you understand where I'm coming from. And I hope that you share your opinions down below without hating me, without hating anybody else. And I, again, have in no way hated anybody else during this. And I love all of you, and God bless every single one of you. And I hope that He does something very special in your life today. God bless. Thanks for listening.